The presiding judge stated that the photographic evidence presented to the court was among the most disturbing documentation she had reviewed in her judicial career. The extent of the documented injuries rendered the subject nearly unrecognizable. More than 200 photographs were presented to the court that day. Each one entered into evidence, documenting what investigators discovered when they responded to a residence on Phyllis Street. What they encountered would leave a 5-year veteran prosecutor stating she had never seen anything comparable in her career. The sheer brutality is really like nothing I've ever seen in my 5 years of handling child abuse cases. But what elevates this case beyond a single criminal proceeding isn't simply what happened to 8-year-old Lyla Cassel. It's what occurred during the 72-hour window between when she sustained her injuries and when anyone contacted emergency services. Lyla Lynn Cassel was born on June 27, 2015, in Wayne, Michigan, a municipality of approximately 17,000 residents located just west of Detroit. According to family accounts and witness statements compiled during the investigation, she was described as an energetic child who enjoyed outdoor activities and had a talent for making others laugh. Her family characterized her as possessing a quick wit and a fun-loving disposition. Jason Wilhoit, a neighbor who had observed Lyla over time, provided investigators with his recollections. Wilhoit said, "Funny kid, jokes, very talkative, cheery, always happy when she was over here." Lyla was enrolled at Roosevelt McGrath Elementary School in Wayne. According to her family's statements, she had a passion for music and was a devoted Taylor Swift fan. She was known for her hair, which she enjoyed styling with colorful accessories. Lyla's biological father was Josh Cassel. She had a brother named Nathaniel. However, Lyla resided primarily with her mother, Chelsea Duperon, and Duperon's live-in boyfriend, an individual who was not Lyla's biological parent. Neighbors would subsequently inform investigators that the household on Phyllis Street had generated concerns prior to March 2024. Jason Wilhoit had documented footage from his residential security system showing incidents that troubled him. According to Wilhoit interview footage, I would hear him yelling at her, not only the mother, but the child. He would shout, "You want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about." I mean, who speaks to their kids like that? Wilhoit reported that he contacted local law enforcement with his security footage, presenting what he had observed. However, he was informed that without direct evidence of physical harm, intervention options were limited. So Wilhoit continued monitoring, continued documenting what was occurring inside that residence that neighbors couldn't directly observe. And what role did Chelsea Duperon's personal circumstances play in the events that would follow? Jason Wilhoit watched. He recorded. He reported what he saw, and still, it wasn't enough. Before we continue with what happened inside that house, I need to ask something of you. If this story matters to you, if Lyla's story matters, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and share this video. Every single share puts this investigation in front of someone who might recognize these patterns. Someone who might act when they see what Wilhoit saw. In the comments, tell me your city and what time you're watching. This helps me understand when to publish these investigations so they reach the most people, people who could one day notice what others miss. This channel exists to tell the stories of children who needed protection but didn't receive it. These aren't just tragedies, they're lessons, patterns we can learn to recognize. After you finish this video, I encourage you to watch others on this channel, because understanding cases like Lyla's could one day help you see something and do something before it's too late. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Now, let's continue. Chelsea Renee Duperon was 30 years old in March of 2024. She resided on Phyllis Street with Lyla and her boyfriend. Court records and law enforcement interviews would subsequently reveal a documented pattern of concerning behavior. According to investigative reports, Duperon had documented issues with alcohol consumption. Family members informed investigators that she had been known to operate a vehicle while intoxicated, with Lyla as a passenger. The live-in boyfriend, whose name has not been publicly released in connection with charges, was not Lyla's biological father. However, he resided in the home and was present during the events of March 2024. During his interview with investigators, the boyfriend stated that Duperon had previously mentioned spirits, but in his words, nothing like this. He claimed he had not witnessed her physically harm Lyla prior to this incident. However, neighbors provided investigators with a different characterization of the household dynamics. This introduces a critical question that would become central to evaluating this case. How many individuals observed warning indicators? How many opportunities existed for intervention, and why did no one take decisive action until the situation had progressed beyond the point of medical intervention? By early March 2024, the household on Phyllis Street contained multiple documented risk factors: a parent with substance-related issues, a boyfriend whom witnesses characterized as verbally aggressive, and an 8-year-old minor in their care. Then, on Wednesday, March 13, 2024, an incident occurred inside that residence. An incident that Lyla herself would subsequently describe to the boyfriend during the hours when she remained conscious and verbal. Wednesday, March 13, 2024. According to statements the boyfriend later provided to investigators, the preceding Monday and Tuesday had been unremarkable at the Phyllis Street residence. Wednesday would mark a departure from that pattern. The boyfriend informed investigators he returned from work at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon. What he encountered upon arrival would become central to the prosecution's case. He found Chelsea outside the residence, gesturing toward the building, verbalizing that she was possessed. The boyfriend proceeded inside to check on Lyla. He located the 8-year-old on the floor. Water was present throughout the area. According to his own description provided to law enforcement, Lyla appeared, in his words, all swolled up. Here is the detail that investigators would focus on during subsequent proceedings. Lyla remained responsive. She was verbal. She had sustained injuries. That was evident, but she was conscious and communicating. The following day, the boyfriend spoke with Lyla and inquired about what had occurred. According to testimony presented in court, Lyla provided him with an account. Her mother had been listening to music when she began the assault. Lyla fled and concealed herself in the basement, but Chelsea convinced her to emerge, and the assault continued, including pouring water on her. So what action did the boyfriend take upon discovering an injured 8-year-old on the floor? He lifted her. He transported her to her bed, and then no further action. When investigators questioned why he didn't contact emergency services or transport Lyla to a medical facility, his response was direct. She wasn't his child. He stated he was uncertain how to proceed. He believed it was her mother's responsibility to obtain medical care for her. What the boyfriend either didn't recognize or chose not to act upon was the severity of Lyla's injuries. The medical examiner would subsequently determine that she had sustained massive blunt force trauma to her head, face, and neck. And, critically, had she received medical intervention that day, her prognosis would have been survivable. Prosecutor Wilmoth said she could have been saved. Instead of emergency intervention, Lyla was placed in a bed, and for the subsequent 72 hours, she would remain there, her condition deteriorating, while the adults in that residence made a series of decisions that prosecutors would later characterize as unfathomable. For approximately 3 days, from Wednesday, March 13th through the early morning hours of Saturday, March 16th, Lyla remained in the residence on Phyllis Street, her medical condition progressively worsening, her injuries receiving no professional treatment. The injuries Lyla sustained were of such severity that she had lost the ability to ambulate to the bathroom independently. Her mother's response to this medical reality: adult diapers, an 8-year-old placed in incontinence products because she could no longer move. Michigan State Police obtained surveillance footage documenting Chelsea Duperon at a retail establishment during this window. The footage captured her purchasing specific items, both for Lyla's at-home care and for herself. According to the investigative record, Duperon purchased diapers, petroleum jelly, heating pads, and alcohol for personal consumption. In the words of Prosecutor Wilmoth, Lyla was just placed in a bed. Her mother went out to the store to get diapers because this child could not go to the bathroom. Diapers, heating pads, Vaseline, as well as some liquor for herself, while her daughter is lying in bed. When investigators subsequently questioned Duperon about why she didn't seek medical attention, she provided an explanation. She believed Lyla's condition was improving. She thought her daughter was recovering. Judge Anderson said, "It is unimaginable that she sat for 2 to 3 days in the condition she was in, and nobody thought it was prudent to give her the proper medical attention she needed." By the early morning hours of Saturday, March 16th, the intervention window had closed. At approximately 5 o'clock a.m., Chelsea Duperon finally contacted emergency services. At approximately 5:15 a.m. on Saturday, March 16th, 2024, Wayne Police Department dispatch received a call originating from the Phyllis Street residence. The caller reported a child who was not breathing. Officers with the Wayne Police Department responded within minutes. They were directed to a bedroom inside the residence, where they located 8-year-old Lyla. Lyla was unresponsive, positioned in bed, wearing an adult diaper. Responding officers documented extensive edema and contusions to her head, face, and cervical region. The extent of her documented injuries rendered her nearly unrecognizable. Prosecutor Wilmoth, the massive amount of swelling to her head and her face, she was completely unrecognizable. There was no way for anyone who saw a child in that condition to not think that she would need immediate medical care. Emergency medical personnel transported Lyla to a local hospital. However, intervention came too late. Lyla was pronounced deceased at the medical facility. She was 8 years old. Officers secured the scene and initiated questioning of Chelsea Duperon. Her initial explanation, Lyla had fallen down a staircase. The medical examiner would subsequently refute this account in its entirety. The injuries Lyla sustained were inconsistent with a fall mechanism. The autopsy revealed no injury pattern that would indicate descent downstairs. The medical examiner would subsequently refute this account in its entirety. The injuries Lyla sustained were inconsistent with a fall mechanism. The autopsy revealed no injury pattern that would indicate descent downstairs. During the interview, officers observed that Chelsea Duperon herself had sustained significant edema and contusions to her right hand and forearm. When questioned about these injuries, she provided no coherent explanation. SGT Walters, testimony. While the questions were being asked, Duperon mumbled out loud, "I swear to God, this is not me. This sounds crazy, but there's bad spirits." Duperon stated, "There was a lady and she came out of nowhere." Michigan State Police joined Wayne Police Department in the investigation. The evidence they compiled over the subsequent days would form the basis of one of the most significant child welfare cases in Wayne County's recent history. The medical examiner's autopsy established the cause: massive blunt force trauma to the head, face, and cervical region, resulting in severe cerebral edema. The manner was ruled a homicide. More than 200 photographs were captured as part of the autopsy documentation process. These images would subsequently be entered into evidence during court proceedings and would leave even experienced judicial officials visibly affected. According to Prosecutor Wilmoth, there was not one spot from head to toe that was not bruised or marked. Investigators found no evidence supporting the intruder theory, no unidentified female, no indicators of unauthorized entry. The only adults present in the residence during the relevant time frame were Chelsea Duperon and her boyfriend. As detectives continued their questioning of Duperon, her account began shifting. Eventually, she acknowledged that she had struck Lyla. She claimed she had no memory of doing so, but stated that Lyla had described the events to her afterward. "What she endured is unfathomable. The pictures reflect a child that does not even look like a child," Wilmoth said. On March 19, 2024, 3 days following Lyla's passing, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy announced formal charges against Chelsea Duperon: felony homicide and first-degree child maltreatment. Both charges carry the possibility of life imprisonment under Michigan law. On Tuesday, March 19, 2024, Chelsea Duperon appeared in 29th District Court for her arraignment. The proceedings were broadcast publicly, and what viewers observed generated significant public response. As prosecutors detailed the allegations, describing what investigators encountered, what the autopsy documented, what evidence had been compiled, Chelsea Duperon was captured on camera, displaying a smirking expression. At one point, she appeared to laugh. Her defense counsel entered a plea of not guilty on her behalf. Duperon was remanded to custody without bond. The court additionally ordered a psychiatric evaluation. For more than a year, the case progressed through the Wayne County court system. Duperon remained incarcerated, awaiting trial on charges that carried a potential life sentence. Then, on July 1, 2025, a development. Chelsea Duperon entered a guilty plea. She pleaded guilty to second-degree homicide. In exchange, the felony homicide and first-degree child maltreatment charges were dismissed. Sentencing was scheduled for July 28, 2025, and it would be in that courtroom where the full documented record of what happened to Lyla Cassel would be formally addressed. July 28, 2025, Wayne County Circuit Court, Judge Charise Anderson presiding. This was the date the court would determine Chelsea Duperon's sentence, and the date Lyla's case would receive its final judicial review. Prosecutor Aaron Wilmoth addressed the court, presenting the compiled evidence, the documented timeline, the 200-plus photographs entered into the record. She reminded the court of Lyla's final days and of the adults who had the opportunity to intervene. Then Judge Anderson delivered her statement. Her words carried the weight of everything the court had reviewed. The most horrific photos of an 8-year-old girl I have ever seen in my entire life. It was horrific. She was unrecognizable, and it is unimaginable what Lyla went through. It is unimaginable that she sat for 2 to 3 days in the condition she was in, and nobody thought it was prudent to give her the proper medical attention she needed. The judge concluded with a characterization that summarized what the evidence demonstrated. Prior to sentencing, Chelsea Duperon was provided the opportunity to address the court. Through tears, she spoke. Chelsea Duperon declared, "Lyla was the most perfect baby. I will never understand why this tragedy has become our reality." Judge Anderson sentenced Chelsea Duperon to 28 to 50 years in state prison. She will become eligible for parole consideration after serving the minimum 28 years. Duperon will be in her 60s before she has any possibility of release. As for the boyfriend, the individual who discovered Lyla injured yet conscious, who transported her to bed but never contacted emergency services, he was not charged. He acknowledged to investigators that he recognized Lyla was in medical distress, but he stated he believed it was Duperon's responsibility to take action. This case raises difficult questions that extend beyond individual criminal liability. Questions about collective responsibility when a minor is failed by multiple adults. Questions about what threshold must be met to trigger intervention, and questions about accountability under existing legal frameworks. The boyfriend was aware Lyla was injured. He communicated with her directly. She provided him with an account of what occurred, and for 72 hours he chose inaction. Under existing Michigan law, that choice carried no criminal consequence. Lyla Lynn Cassel was 8 years old. She was a Taylor Swift fan. She enjoyed outdoor activities. She possessed a quick wit and brought laughter to those around her. She deserved protection. She deserved intervention. She deserved a voice. This channel exists to provide voices for those who can no longer speak for themselves, to document what occurred, to examine the systemic questions, and to ensure these cases are not forgotten. If you believe in seeking justice for the voiceless, subscribe to this channel. If you're aware of a case that warrants examination, leave it in the comments. Together, we ensure they are remembered.